Hi everyone, I'm Julie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, make yourself at home. Today we're going to play with this pretty awesome kit. This is an older kit. I received this in my starter box. It is the All the Best and it was from December 2023. But you know what? When you register for the subscription, you can buy older kits, so that's pretty exciting. So I opened this box and I realized that there was 3 of the same cards and I wanted to expand on it. So you do get this really cute stamp, a stamp spot, you get some tape, you get some bling, which is always great, and you get the instructions to create the cards. Now, you know what? I created the cards not as is because I'm one of these people that can't play within the lines. I guess I always like to change it up and make it my own. I did stay true to the most part. For the design, I used all of the elements, and the only thing that I did change up here is that I decided to use some of my old friends here, some colors from close to my heart, and they are pretty darn close. This one here, I did use the stamp set that is included in the box, and I'm not sure if the camera is picking up on it, but of course I had to bring a little bit of gold splatter because there's lots of gold accents in these cards. This one here again was done pretty much as is. I did change the sentiment only because I need a lot of thank you cards and a lot of birthday cards. So again, I brought in some of those splatters with some paint, and I did a little bit of ink distressing, and I did stamp my sentiment with Carolina ink. The last one here I think is my favorite one. It looks really elevated and super easy to put together. I did use a stamp from my stash because I needed birthday cards. So once I played with these cards, I thought, what else can we do with this kit? And I was looking at the kit and I was going through my photos. I've just come back from a holiday, and these photos and these colors were perfect. I don't know if you can see all of the great blues and the greens. I just thought, why not do a scrapbook layout? So let me put this to the side. I'll bring in my Versamats and we will create 2 layouts together. I'm going to create this one here based on the photos that I pulled out. I just felt that the colors were so good. And as you can see here, these are little dandelions. This was an Alaskan cruise, so it's not really in the theme of this card set if you want, but I will make it work using the same types of colors. Now for this layout, I'm going to use 1/3 of what's in the box. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to use 1 card base, so 1 of each design. And I'm going to use, you have these really cool die cuts. I'm going to use some of these. And I did mix and match a little bit, but you get 3 of each. So I might incorporate this one. I'm not sure. I've got a couple of areas where you use these to stamp your sentiments. These might be really good for journaling. Who knows at this point? But I just thought, let's see what I can do with 1/3 of this pack, and then I'll use the last 1/3 for another layout. I took 1 sheet of this really gorgeous pattern paper, and I was very conservative because I think it is so pretty. So these pieces here measure 8 by 6. And when I say these pieces is because my layout continues. This is how I'm going to start my layout. I've got these 2 larger pieces right here. I've matted my photos, and this was the last evening on the ship back to Vancouver from Alaska. And when I looked at these colors, and I basically just looked at the colors in these card bases, I really wanted to use these card bases to document these photos. Some of you may know that Janice and I went on an Alaskan cruise, and this was the last evening on the boat, and we were trying to catch the sunset. So I took a selfie and then I took a picture of Janice here, and that face is, ooh, it's cold out here. And it was really cold and really windy. But you can see that these colors, even though the theme, and if you've got these little flowers here, even though they don't really match the theme, the colors completely go with it. Now that I have the base, if you want, for my layout, I knew that I wanted to incorporate these card bases and I wanted to stretch them out as much as I could. So I basically just did 12 inches. I divided it by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I need little square pieces that would be 1.5 by 1.5. Now I can definitely get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8, 16, 24. If my math is good, I'm going to have enough little squares to put on the top and the bottom. And you're never going to know that they're coming from card bases. So let's cut these out and we'll see how that turns out. The first thing I did is I cut my strips from my card bases, and I don't even think I'm going to use these pieces, but I just wanted you to see how that looks. So these are cut at 1.5, and I cut from the top and the bottom. So this is the center piece. I'm going to set that to the side. Again, I cut from the top and the bottom. I'm going to set this one to the side, and then I have top and bottom. And we're going to keep that. Maybe we'll need it for layout number 2. So now, the next thing I'll do, I will cut all of these at 1.5. So I'm not cutting into the score line, but I am cutting all of these little pieces here, and I'm going to start lining them up on both of the pages. So I'm not going to make you watch me do all of that, but basically what I'm doing, let's put my pieces together. I am just going in. This is a 1.5. I'm just going in here, and then I'm just cutting 1.5. So you have 1.5 squares. Now, if you have a die and you'd prefer to die cut them, that would be fun too. But I just wanted to show you that you can completely do this if you don't have a square die, and you end up with quite a bit of pattern paper if you want. We're going to call it pattern paper. And it's going to run across both of my pages right here. So let me get busy and cut these, and I'll come back and I'll show you how it looks. I'm going to start laying down my little pieces here. These are 1.5 by 1.5, and I'm going to mix them up. I don't want them to be the same. And I don't know about you, but now these look like little clouds. Let's see, what else do I have? I think I'm going to keep these at the bottom, and I think I'm going to keep these at the top because they are darker. So the darker ones will go at the bottom, and the lighter ones will go at the top. And I seem to have this pattern that repeats itself a little bit more. So let me see here. I think I'm going to need one of here. Right, and another one, and a solid. So if you just mix them up on your page, you get a pretty cool pattern. I think I'm gonna go like this, and like this, and then we're gonna add this pattern. Haven't done that yet. And a blue, and here. So once they're all nice and straight, I think that that's gonna work out. I think I'm gonna run out of pieces. So if I want to go continuous across, I need 32 pieces, not 24. I have more. I know that this pattern repeats itself quite a bit. I like this one and I like the light one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut. I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do here and here so that I get the pattern. Okay. So now that I've recalculated and my math is working better, I actually needed 32 pieces, not 24. But do you see how by cutting them all in little squares like this, it really fills out the page? I still have some left over that I can probably use, but I'm still working with 1/3 of this pack. So let's see how we can bring these embellishments here. I think this one would look cute here. And then we've got these ones that kind of circle the photo. That might look cute, especially if we add dots. Let me see if I can do something like this. And kind of like that. Maybe I'll move this one up. So I've used one of this sheet, and I have this one here that I really don't think it's going to go, but I could add some journaling here or the location where we were. Definitely there's room here to add this little spot. I kind of like that. We'll see about this one. What do you think so far? I think that this looks really, really good. Now I'm gonna have to address the fact that my photo mats are bigger than this piece here. I did go ahead and I cut some of these really pretty branches, and my idea was to maybe put them up here at the top, but it just became way too busy. So I am not going to waste these. I decided instead just to cut like a 1/4 of an inch strip, and I'm going to add it right here just to cover up. There's a little gap on my layout, so I'm going to have one at the top and one at the bottom. I feel that it brings out the gold in this paper, and it also brings out the gold in the sunset. So I'm really liking the way this is shaping up. So you've got these 2 strips right here. I can incorporate these here, definitely. I think that it's a nice touch, but adding them at the top was definitely way too much. So maybe I'll sneak one in here at this corner, maybe a second one. I really like this metallic paper. It cuts like butter. It is so, so nice, and there's a little bit of a detail to it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to adhere everything down, and we'll come back and we'll address a title. Let's take a look at where I am so far. I really, really like the way that I just took these card bases and transformed them into kind of pattern paper to suit the colors. Now, if I would have told you that I was going to scrapbook Alaskan photos with dandelions, you probably would have thought that that was not going to work. But if you just look at the colors, I love that the pretty flowers are accentuating the colors in the photos. We're going to use what comes in the box. So we've got these really pretty little sparkles here, and we've got some dimensional. So I think that these are going to come in really, really well. I also want to bring in this piece here to do some journaling. I did ink distress all of my pieces with acorn because I really wanted to accentuate the gold. I didn't run the gold all the way across. I didn't feel that it needed it, but I did have a tiny little gap because this was larger than the pattern paper that I cut, and I think that it really brings everything together. So let's add these ones right here. I'm going to glue this one down, and I'm just going to add a tiny drop in the center. So if I have to move this, I can, because I am gluing this on top of my photo. This is just the back of my hood. So let's see here. I think that that's going to look really good just about here. So we're going to add that like that. I could probably bring it up tiny little bit. I'm going to press that down, and I'm going to add this flower here. Now this picture, I'm not sure if you noticed, but this was kind of funny. I was taking this photo and Janice was in back of me taking that photo. So there's me taking the photo of this and Janice back here taking a photo of me. And I thought that that was pretty darn cool. I'm going to use dimensionals for this one. So let's add some dimensionals here. All right, we're almost done here. I'm going to add a few of these really pretty gems. Let's take a look at it nice and close. Isn't this so pretty? I love the gold. And even myself, I wasn't sure if this paper was going to work with these photos, but I think they totally do. I did stamp a few sentiments here, and I did use Carolina ink. It does match really nicely. This here, Enjoy the Journey, was perfect. It is from this stamp set here, Seize the Day card making one. And then right here, there's still so much to see, is from the Pack Your Bags. Now these were in my stash, so I would recommend go in your stash and see what you have as far as stamps and just add a few of them here and there. I'll probably do some journaling and I'll tuck it in behind somewhere. But I love how this turned out. So let's move on to layout number 2. Let's take a look at layout number 2. We are using, once again, 1/3 of this awesome kit. And this is when, in the creative process, sometimes you need a little bit of help. So I decided to go through the creative design team's sketchbook. This is sketchbook number 1, and it is on page 25. And I thought that I would use this sketch and bring in just a tiny bit of what's left in this kit. Since these pieces are very similar, like I don't have a lot of differences between these bases, I think I'm going to bring in the envelope to kind of add these pieces that are tucked in behind. I know that I want to bring in some gold splatters. So we're going to do that before we adhere everything down. I think I want to bring in some gold splatter. I think that that's going to be fun. And all of the cardstock pieces, I haven't done the edges yet of the actual page, have been inked with acorn because it really looks good with gold. So let's just move this aside. I can do my splatters and then we can cut all of the pieces and we're going to tuck them in behind, just like the sketch here. And I really do think that I'm going to bring back these awesome dies. They are the textured floral dies. I'm not going to use a splatter box, but I am going to use my fan brush. Now the goal in this is probably the closest is this one here. Now one thing with these paints, when you get them, is you kind of have to wet the little area and you have to let it sit for a little bit. If you don't let it sit, it's not going to give you a really good splatter. So this here, I'm just going to let it sit for one moment and then you'll see that when I do my splatters, they're not so translucent. Okay, I think that that looks good. So we're going to move this one out of the way. And we're going to bring this one in. And part of me didn't want to splatter on the blue. Let's see how good I can get it just in the white. So this just gives it a really nice splatter. Hopefully you can see that. And it just gives a little bit more interest to a white base. So let me move my water out of the way, because if you're anything like me, that's going to make a mess. So if I look at my sketch, even though these are black and white, it kind of gives you an idea as to which colors to use together. I did use sky blue for this one here and this one. And then you've got these that are darker. You've got 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 with no mattes. I decided to matte everything. So I'm going to add the green ones, which is fern. I'm going to add them just like the sketch. And then I'm going to add these ones here are gold. And this was a gold sheet that I had in my stash. And I think that a lot of you probably have gold. This is the color of the gold. I have to tell you that I do prefer the Stampin' Up! One. It is much more vibrant. Let me just bring you some of those sprigs that I cut. It is much, much more vibrant, but I didn't have 2 sheets. Definitely going to add a few more of these in my cart because it is so, so pretty. But I use this one. It's a little bit more subtle, but I think that it works very nicely with this paper collection. So we've got this going on, and now I need to kind of fill in these ones here, and this is where my bases are going to come into play. So I think I'm going to use this one right here in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. It's going to make a really nice center right here. And then I need 2 more. So I am going to, I think I want to keep this one for this area here. I know I want to bring this one. So let's see if we can start building this. If I look at this sketch, I have a 6x4 photo. I could definitely pull this to the side like this. You don't have to follow the exact area, but see how this is really pretty. So I think I'm gonna bring this one in for sure. So let me see if I bring that underneath. I do like that. I might actually cut that down, but I also like seeing it here on the side. So we've got 2 pieces, and then there's more pieces. And this is where if I bring these ones here, they're very similar. I also need to create myself 2 here. So maybe what I'll do is I'll cut a light one for the top and a dark one for the bottom, and then I'll see what I have left. I also have this here that I can use, but now that I have these, let's see, let's cut a few pieces and we'll play. So here I have 2 very different pieces. So I'm going to put this one here at the top with the lightest tone, and then I'll put this one here. I like how that's turning out. This piece here, there's a little piece and then there's flowers. So I'm going to put maybe one of these will look really pretty on there. Okay, so let me cut this out. This is really pretty, and it came from an envelope, so don't underestimate the power of an envelope. I do have this piece from the top. I could probably cut that into a square to fit better. As much as I like that piece, I don't think that it's popping enough. I do like this, but I think I need this color. Okay, so let's see what happens when I bring this piece. So you can see here that I'm not 100% following all of the pieces that are in back of this picture, only because I'm playing with the paper and the patterns that I have. This piece right here, I cut it out of yellow, and I did emboss it just to give it a little bit more dimension if you want, and I added my little photos on top, and I cut another one just for good measure, and I think I'm gonna sneak it up here. I think this is what this layout needs. If I put it on an angle, maybe I'm going to ink these pieces up. But I think that looks really cute. I like this quite a bit. So the last thing we need to do is embellish, and we're going to add a few there's little tabs. Let me bring this back in. There's little tabs here and there. There's extra little paper up here. So I was able to cut that out really nice and tight. So I think I like that better. I didn't like all of the white. I don't mind so much now that it's hiding a little bit of my little pattern paper piece here. And maybe we can bring in more of these little dies. These are really, really adorable. So let's see. Maybe we can do something like that. Let's take a look at the layout and how it's shaping up with the pieces we have to play with. So you have to remember that definitely these are a jumping off point, but I pretty much stayed true to the sketch, and I'm just using the different papers that I have. in this card kit. So I like the way that this look. I like the pop of yellow that's repeating here. I brought it back on this side and I cut a little banner. I'm not sure where I'm going to put that right now. Like there's a little arrow here, but I prefer the banner. I've cut another piece of another envelope, but when you put it underneath, it just gives that pop of yellow that I was looking for, and it just brings some of the yellow onto this side. So let's see how we can embellish this. Now we're going to take these out. And they pop out so easy, and I really like the way that they look. I find that these colors look really, really fresh together. All right, so what do we have on our sketch? Let's bring back our sketch. So we have a bigger cluster here, but now that I have this, I limited myself somewhat. So I think that I'm going to change that up, and maybe I'll bring these little guys here. And I've gone ahead and I had cut a whole bunch of these for the first layout. Now it's not the same gold, but it is so pretty. So what I did is I changed the shape and I used the same gold that I have here. And I think the two-tone looks really good. So I have 3 of those. And I've got these little ones here. Let's take a look at our sketch. Now I can keep this here for journaling, and I can add a flower. There's a flower here and there's another one, and then there's a few here. Let's see what we can do. Now I think I limited myself when I added this piece here, but if I add these, I think that that's going to work. So I'm going to kind of just place them here for now. Originally, I thought they were going to go in the center, but maybe this big one can go in the center. That would look really nice. And then we have these ones here. Let me take some of these out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. So I've got my little cluster here. I like these ones. And it's not fighting with this piece. I've got this little cluster here that's representing this one. I like that. I've got a big one here in the center, and then I could add some of these. That might be a little bit too much. Let's see, I could add this piece. Maybe not the big one. Maybe a couple of the small ones. All of the possibilities. Yeah, no, I think I like that better. I like the scale of that better. So I think we're going to leave this as is. We can add, hold on a minute. What else do I have in my box? And you can see that I still have tons of stuff. Oh, I have this here. So this was meant as a banner. So we're going to add a little piece up here, or maybe here, and then I'm going to add one here. I like that. Let's take a look at this layout. I love the way it turned out, and can you believe this was done with envelopes and card bases? I really, really love the way that it turned out, and all of this was done with the help of this very great sketch from Volume 1, the CDT Sketchbook, and it is on page 25. So a lot of the sketches in there can lend themselves to smaller pieces, as you can see right here, and they're a great jumping off point. So I am going to probably add some stamping here, sentiments, my journaling. I just don't know which photos I'm going to put in here just yet. Let's take a look at all of the projects we did with this kit. So this layout right here was done with 1/3 of the content. So basically the card bases, and even snuck in a few of those envelopes. Let's bring out the layout number 1. I really like the way this turned out. And again, this was done with 1/3 of the content within this kit. I did not use the envelopes. I didn't think it needed it right here. I did bring in some extra paper on this one, and I will list all of the products that I've used down in the description box below. And let's not forget that this is a card kit. So we've got 3 beautiful cards. The way that they were designed, I just changed up the sentiment only because I always need birthday cards and thank you cards. Now, if you're here from close to my heart and you're wondering which colors that I used Fern, Sundance, Carolina, and Acorn. And you can see that it looks fantastic. I hope that I've inspired you to think outside the box and create something different with these awesome little red boxes. I think that they are full of surprises. You can have this as a subscription, and when you subscribe, you can go and get the older set. This one here is All the Best from December 2023, and I was able to complete 2 layouts and still have cards. Let's take a look inside. I have my stamp set, and I know that I can do more cards because I do have more envelopes here. I will use up the rest and just use the stamps, and I'm going to make this go even further. That's it for me today. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.